My husband and I had started building a house. It's way too big for just the two of you, his sister declared. I assume my wing is already included, his mother added. We both froze. But when my in-laws tried to take it over, they freaked out. What's going on? Where's the house? My name is Willow, and I've been married to Caleb for 5 years. We used to have a quiet little apartment in Denver, small but private. That privacy ended 3 years ago when his mother Peyton asked us to move in with her. She said she was lonely now that Caleb's younger sister Eden had gotten married and moved out. This house is too empty. She sighed over the phone. I'm eating alone. Sleeping alone? There's no laughter anymore. I wasn't thrilled. Peyton and I had always been complicated. She never liked me much. Subtle digs, awkward silences, the way she always looked me up and down like she was checking for flaws. But Caleb wanted to help, and we wanted to save money for a house. So we moved in. At first, Peyton played the sweet host. She brought us coffee in the mornings, made baked goods just because, and called me dear. But it didn't last. Within a few months, she started acting like the house was her kingdom, and I was the live-in servant. I worked full-time, but somehow I ended up doing all the cooking, laundry, and cleaning. Peyton always had an excuse. Her knee hurt, or she had a rough night, or she was too tired after grocery shopping, even if I was the one who carried all the bags inside. At dinner, she'd criticize my cooking. You put cumin in this? I'm not sure it agrees with mature digestion. Or she'd sigh, push her plate aside, and say, It's fine, dear. I'll just have toast later. And when Caleb was around, she'd be careful, polite. But the moment we were alone, she'd lower her voice and mutter things like, You really think you're good enough for him? Or, It's been 5 years and still no grandkids? Clock's ticking, dear. I tried to ignore it. I really did. But it wore me down. Then Eden started showing up. Once or twice a week at first, then 3, then 5. Sometimes she brought her baby. Sometimes she didn't. But she always brought noise and chaos. She'd hand me her baby without asking. He loves you. Don't let him nap too long, okay? Mom and I are going to the outlet mall. She'd come back hours later, toss her purse on the couch and say, You look exhausted. Are you getting enough sleep? You should really start using night cream. She was relentless, passive-aggressive, smug. And when I asked her not to take money from my purse, she just laughed. Relax. It's not like you're the one bringing in the big bucks. Caleb's doing fine. I work too, I said. Sure, she replied. But let's be honest, he's the one who'll pay off a mortgage, not you. I told Caleb. Again. He sighed. Again. I'll talk to them, he said. But either he didn't, or they didn't care. One Saturday, I drove to my parents' place in Loveland. It was almost 2 hours away, but the peace was worth it. No demands, no insults, just coffee on the porch and my dad fixing something in the garage. Over dinner, I finally broke. I told them everything. My mom reached for my hand. My dad just stared at his plate. Finally, he said, You know that plot of land near the lake? The one we've been holding on to? I nodded. It's yours. If you and Caleb want to build, I don't want to see you ground down like this. I blinked. You're serious? He smiled. You're our daughter. Of course I'm serious that night, I told Caleb. He looked shocked, then thoughtful, then relieved. You know what? Let's do it. We've waited long enough. We need our own place. I hugged him so tight I thought I'd crack his ribs. Within a week, we started looking at contractors. It felt exciting, like we were finally building something real. We didn't tell Peyton or Eden or even Frank, Caleb's dad. We wanted to keep things quiet. We spent evenings sketching floor plans. Caleb wanted a home office. I wanted a coffee nook by the window. We laughed and dreamed and circled things in catalogs. One night, we were at the kitchen table, deep in a discussion about kitchen layouts, when we heard a voice behind us. Don't forget to add a guest suite for me. And Eden would love her own entrance, something private. That's only fair. We both froze. Peyton stood in the hallway, her arms folded, a glass of water in her hand. Her eyes were sharp, and she was smiling like she'd just solved a puzzle. Caleb stood up. Mom, what are you talking about? She stepped forward and sat across from us like she was joining a scheduled meeting. The house. The one you're building. You didn't think I'd notice the whispered phone calls and the sketchbooks? Honestly, Caleb, I raised you better than that. I tried to stay calm. We were going to tell you when things were finalized. Of course you were, she said. But since you're building on Willow's parents' land, I just want to be sure I'm not forgotten in the plans. You're not moving in, Caleb said flatly. Her smile vanished. Excuse me? We're building that house for us. Just us. Peyton set her glass down hard. After everything I've done for you. After letting you stay here rent-free, feeding you, supporting you. You haven't cooked in 2 years, Caleb said. You've belittled my wife at every turn. This isn't about you, Mom. It never was. She turned to me, eyes narrowing. This is your influence. You've poisoned him. I've done nothing but try to keep peace, I said quietly. Peyton's hand shook slightly. You will regret this. I promise you. She stood and left without another word. I turned to Caleb. She's going to try something. I can feel it. He nodded. Then we better be ready. After that night, Peyton didn't mention the house again. For about 3 days. Then the gifts started. Fresh flowers in our bedroom, a brand new coffee machine, a pie she claimed to have baked herself, but I knew it was from the bakery down the street. She even ironed Caleb's shirts and folded my towels, though they all mysteriously smelled like her perfume. It was unsettling. Is this her way of apologizing? I asked Caleb. She doesn't apologize, he muttered. She manipulates. I agreed. But even stranger was how Eden suddenly softened. She started showing up with actual groceries, offered to help with dishes, and once, just once, she even said, Thanks, Willow. You're really good with kids. It sent a shiver down my spine. Then one morning, Peyton knocked on our bedroom door, holding a mug of coffee and smiling like the matriarch of a Hallmark family. I was thinking, maybe we should take a little drive out to that new lot of yours. Eden and I would love to see how things are progressing. You know, just a quick visit. I blinked. The house just broke ground last week. There's nothing to see. Oh, but I'd feel better once I see it with my own eyes. She didn't wait for an answer. 2 hours later, she and Eden were gone. Caleb and I looked at each other. She's planning something, I said. I know, he replied. We just don't know what yet. That afternoon, Peyton came home beaming. Eden followed behind her, sunglasses still on, cradling a takeaway coffee like it was a trophy. It's huge, Peyton said, setting down her purse. Much bigger than I thought. Eden already picked out her nursery spot. I nearly dropped the dish I was washing. What? Caleb asked. Eden pulled off her sunglasses. Well, we just assumed you'd build with family in mind. I mean, the house is so spacious. Way too big for just the 2 of you. We have plans, Caleb said firmly, and none of them involve you 2 living there. Peyton frowned, but didn't argue. Instead, she gave a tight smile and said, Well, we'll see. Later that week, a contractor called Caleb. Someone had phoned pretending to be him and asked to modify the blueprint, to add an in-law suite. Caleb was livid. He changed all contact permissions and made sure only he could authorize anything. 2 days later, we received a handwritten note slid under our bedroom door. Families support each other. We're not asking for much. A roof, a little space. After all we've given you, is that so hard? Peyton's handwriting. That night, over dinner, Peyton cleared her throat. I've spoken to Eden's husband. He agrees Eden needs a more stable environment. Somewhere closer to her mother. He's fine with her moving in temporarily. Moving where? Caleb asked. To the new house, of course, Peyton said, as if it were obvious. I put down my fork. You're not serious, I said. Oh, but I am. It's best for the baby, and Eden's expecting again. That last part hit me like a slap. You're pregnant? I asked Eden. She smiled. 12 weeks. And you want to move into our house? It won't feel like yours for long, Peyton said, sipping her coffee. Once the family's settled, it'll belong to all of us. I didn't agree to this, Caleb snapped. You don't have to, Peyton replied. You're paying the mortgage. You'll do the responsible thing. That was it. No, I said sharply. Absolutely not. We've stayed silent for too long, but you've crossed every line. This house? It's a gift from my parents. That land is from my father. You don't get to decide what happens to it. Peyton's smile twisted. And who do you think you are to stop me? You think you belong in this family? Eden and Caleb are blood. You're just passing through enough, Caleb said, standing. Peyton stood too. You don't get to talk to me like that. After everything I've sacrificed? You've sacrificed nothing, he said coldly. And frankly, I'm done pretending like we owe you anything. Eden stood as well, her voice rising. You think you're going to kick us out of what should be our home? Forget it. That house will be ours. One way or another, Peyton slammed her mug on the counter. You know what? Fine. If you don't want to share, get out. Pack your things. Go live in a motel. Mom, this isn't your house anymore, Caleb said. Then maybe it's time you start paying rent, she snapped. Or better yet, sign the new house over to Eden. That would settle everything. I felt like I couldn't breathe. My head spun. Peyton pointed at the door. Out! You're not welcome here anymore, and Eden agrees. You two can go. We'll make better use of what you've built. She turned and stomped off to her bedroom, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the wall. I looked at Caleb. She's actually serious. I know, he said, but so am I. We started packing that night. The next morning, before Peyton could stop us, we were gone. Caleb had already called my father the night before. Put a hold on everything, he'd said. They're going to try and steal it. We need to stop construction before they get any closer. My dad agreed. By noon the next day, all progress on the house had been paused. The foundation was secure, but that's all we allowed them to build, for now. A week passed. Then Peyton called. No answer. Then Eden texted. Can we come see the house again? Mom says it should be ready to move in soon. We didn't reply. Then came the real message. One Peyton didn't mean for us to see. Caleb's phone buzzed. It was a forwarded message from Frank. A group text. Peyton to Eden. We'll tell them we're taking pictures. Once we're inside, we change the locks. They'll never see it coming. Eden. Let's just say the baby needs stability. That should shut her up, Peyton. And if not, Caleb will fold. He always folds. But not this time. Caleb looked at me. Call your dad, he said. We're taking it all back. After Caleb read that message thread between Peyton and Eden, something in him snapped. He didn't yell. He didn't curse. He just stood in silence for a moment and then calmly said, I'm done giving them chances. They want war? Fine. We'll end it. He called my dad. They spoke for 20 minutes, voices low but firm. Then my dad made a few other calls, to his lawyer, the surveyor, and the contractor. By the next morning, the entire build was on indefinite hold. The partial foundation would be cleared. Nothing would remain. And Peyton and Eden? They had no idea. 3 days later, Peyton showed up at the build site in a rental SUV with Eden in the passenger seat and a smug smile on her face. They stepped out in matching sunglasses and boots, like they were on some twisted HGTV reality show. Only, there was no house, no structure, no walls, no crews, just empty land and a freshly posted sign, private property. Trespassers will be prosecuted. Eden's jaw dropped. Peyton's face drained of color. They stared in silence for almost a full minute. Then Peyton pulled out her phone and started calling Caleb. He didn't answer, so she called me. I picked up. Willow. What is going on? Where's the house? You're standing on my father's land, I said evenly. And you don't have permission to be there. What do you mean? We saw the foundation. It's been removed. We halted construction. You what? Why would you do that? This is our future. No, Peyton. It was never yours. You tried to steal it. You tried to trick your son into signing something behind my back. You tried to move in with Eden, change the locks, and trap us out of something we were building for ourselves. You're delusional, she snapped. You think I'd do that? I saw your messages, I said. Frank forwarded them. He was disgusted silence. Then quietly, you don't understand how hard this year has been on me. Eden's struggling. I'm trying to help her and you're manipulating, controlling, lying. That's what you've been doing. We just wanted to live together as a family. No, you wanted control, and you lost it. I hung up. 10 minutes later, Caleb's phone lit up. It was Eden this time. Her text was long, apologetic, desperate. She begged us to let Peyton move in somewhere, anywhere, and said she was sorry for overstepping. Then came the bombshell. Also, please don't contact my husband. He doesn't know everything yet, too late. Her husband had already contacted us. Apparently, Eden had drained his mother's savings, spent thousands on designer bags and late-night outings, and told him she was planning to move into a new family home because he was too emotionally unstable to be a good father. And the baby? He wasn't sure it was his. He'd already filed for divorce. Now Eden had nowhere to go. And Peyton? Her own house, the one Caleb and I had been living in, was no longer hers either. Frank, finally fed up after years of quiet tolerance, had signed it over to a buyer the morning we moved out. The papers had been sitting in his drawer for weeks. He just needed a push. Peyton provided it. When she returned home that evening, suitcase in hand, ready to punish us with silence, she found the locks changed and Frank sitting in a recliner by the door, holding a mug of coffee. "You sold the house?" she shouted. He took a sip. "You tried to evict my son." "What did you expect?" "I'm your wife." "You were," he said. "Now you're a stranger." Peyton's voice cracked. "Where am I supposed to go?" He didn't answer, just handed her an envelope with the address of a small rental property, one she could afford on her own if she stopped meddling in other people's lives. She refused to take it. She called Caleb, called me, called my parents. No one answered. She and Eden ended up sharing a one-bedroom apartment on the edge of town. I heard from a friend that Eden was working retail again, and Peyton took a part-time job folding laundry at a dry cleaner's. Their relationship didn't survive long. Within 2 months, Eden moved out, blaming Peyton for everything. Peyton blamed me, then Caleb, then Eden again. Eventually, they both stopped trying to contact us. And as for us, my dad sold the land, not out of spite, but to close the door permanently. He used the money to help us buy a new plot, somewhere far enough that Peyton wouldn't come sniffing around, but close enough for us to still visit my parents. Caleb and I built the house we wanted. No extra wings, no guest suites, no room for entitlement. Just one bedroom for us, one for the kids we might have someday, and a big sunny kitchen with a built-in coffee bar where I drink in peace every morning. One evening, months later, I stood on our back porch, coffee mug in hand, looking out at the mountains. Caleb joined me. "You think they'll ever try to come back?" he asked. I shrugged. "Maybe. But they won't find anything waiting for them." He put his arm around me. We stood there in silence. Not because we had nothing to say, but because, finally, no one else was talking over us.